All right, everyone, welcome to a special video today where we're basically just going to watch WandaVision from the beginning to the end of episode 5, and we're going to give our thoughts and reactions with spoilers, of course, because we're going to watch it all the way through. And additionally, I will put a timer up at the top here for you guys to sync up with us if you so choose. But also, I am joined today by Alex. Say hello.
Hey guys, how are you?
All right, welcome. So I'm gonna go ahead and press play, and we'll basically just talk our way through the episode. I think we've both already seen it, so it won't be like a live reaction sort of thing, but I think it'll help us talk our way through it better as we watch. So we're gonna go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1. Currently, it's just the recap of the last episode. All right, and that's where we last left off. Now at the Marvel logo. We talked last week about our thoughts on last week's episode, um, which was basically kind of a recap of the first 3, just from the outside perspective. And so this episode will be back into the sitcoms, and we'll also be in the outside world a little bit as well, which is neat. And this episode's a little longer than the rest of them. It's about 41 minutes. Yeah, I think it's interesting that her magic can't really affect them at all. I think that kind of um, hints that they actually are real, not part of this reality, and they probably have some of her powers as well. So, we've been talking a lot about, like throughout the episodes, how Agnes has kind of been hinted that she's one of the antagonists of this. And this episode hints a little bit more at it throughout. I think this is the first time, kind of, it shows that she does know what's going on. So, where are you at on that whole thing?
Um, I would like she's trying to like of course she's trying to block out like everything for Vision, like make sure like I mean I know it as the episode progresses we're gonna get into it a little more, but I feel like she's trying to do her best just to create this life
Well,
for Vision
do you think Agnes
and the kid.
is one of the people that has something to do with it, or do you think she's one of the people being controlled? Because she seems to always come around when something convenient is happening, or she
I mean, I
seems to
think
be
there's
aware.
something up to like she know like there's up to she's up to something definitely, but Wanda won't let her expose.
Yeah, I mean, um, they still haven't found her identification. Shield hasn't, at least, which is interesting.
Oh yeah,
So there's theories that if Mephisto is in this show, that she would be the link to him, basically. So
yeah.
that's one thing I'm most interested to see in the next episode, because I think they'll start to answer that a little bit more. Yeah, so they just aged 5 years, and the strange thing to me is they did it themselves. It wasn't Wanda doing it, and we see that later in the
Oh.
show again. It's interesting. So I feel like they definitely have some of her powers, or someone else is controlling some of the reality.
Ooh, look at that. Mm-hmm.
The pictures of Vision are pretty
uh,
funny.
I wonder if this was shot in Warner Brothers that area, or maybe I don't know. It looks like a similar lot that I've seen. But yeah.
I do like how this episode, it's a mix of the sitcom and outside, like we predicted last week. I like
Mm-hmm.
how they did it. They still have the theme song, and they're gonna have the commercial later. I'm glad they still did that, because that was part of the cool part of the first few episodes.
Oh, yeah. Like just that mixture of both, but therefore like it's just getting like a lot of interesting every day.
Yeah,
Like every episode just keeps getting more interesting.
yeah. Even the sitcom parts of this one have, like, they seem to be driving the story forward, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're back in the real world.
Jimmy woohoo!
So this scene's like setting up that they believe Wanda's a threat to them, which she definitely is. If this really is her.
I want to
Yeah, go ahead.
say like so back in Civil War, like when Tony, remember when Tony and Steve were like arguing about like Wanda, Tony was saying like she's a weapon of massive destruction, and then
Mm-hmm.
Steve was saying she's just a young girl, like
Yeah.
she's just like learning her powers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
It's kind of like going back to that a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. And in the scene, well, right now we see her breaking into find Vision, and it seems like she basically took all the pieces of him and put him back together in some sort of new form, not like a dead corpse or anything like that, which is good. I'm glad that's the direction they went. And in the scene before this, it's kind of important to note that when they did like the scan on Monica, it came back like blank after she left that place, which they didn't really say anything more about that, but I think in future episodes that'll become kind of important. It's a nice transition back to the sitcom. So some people have been speculating that the leader of Sword could be like evil, kind of like they've done before with Shield and Hydra and stuff like that. But I mean, I think all the things he were saying made sense. I mean, do you think he could be a potential antagonist, the director guy of Sword?
I mean, history repeats itself.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting a little suspicious.
Oh, oh my god.
You know what's interesting is in this episode, well, in the past few, whenever Vision would figure something was wrong, she would like make sure he forgot about it and would go back as if that didn't happen. In this episode, that doesn't happen, which I think is interesting. I'm not quite sure why. And there they go again. They've aged
Oh,
themselves again. 5 more years.
yeah. It's gonna get a lot interesting now. And now we're back to the real world.
Yep. so she's trying to go back into Westview. And we've seen in the trailers someone in a aircraft going into Westview, and I think that'll be in an episode or two probably that we see that happen.
Yeah.
Calling it the Hex. It's interesting because there's been a lot of like hexagons and references to Mephisto, so maybe Mephisto will come in. That's interesting that her reaction to hearing Captain Marvel, because that's the movie she's from and her family was close to Captain Marvel, so it seems like she has something against her now, which I'm sure that'll be important in the future because that character is going to be in Captain Marvel too, and I'm sure we'll see that explored more.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Oh. Getting deeper.
Yeah, that'll be in a few minutes. There'll be more about that. Back to sitcom, by the way.
Vision's concerned now.
Yeah. After this scene, I have a theory to share.
Uh-oh. Oh.
All right, so a couple of things. Number one, he keeps saying her, she. He doesn't say Wanda, so it's possible again. Agnes could be doing something here. She could be involved. Wanda has some control, but at the end of the episode, you hear her say she doesn't know how it started or whatever. So that kind of further makes me think there's someone else that's over all of this. But Wanda is
Like
kind of
playing
part of
behind the magic, playing behind.
Yeah, so it's not like I don't think it's her necessarily controlling everything. I think she's controlling what she wants to, and then there's someone else. Because also, in the past, she's stopped Vision from figuring things out, but she's not doing that right now. And that email came in about shield or sword. And I think perhaps whoever it is that's orchestrating everything maybe wanted him to see that. So
they kind of want him to see it
yeah,
too. So it's like,
which she wouldn't. So I don't think it was necessarily her, And also, I think if Mephisto is going to be in this series, I think he'll be introduced in the next episode if he is. Because I think there wouldn't really be I think the best episode to introduce him in would be the Halloween one. So I think he'll come in next week if he is in this show. Talking about Quicksilver. It's their drone from Sword.
mm-hmm. They're just spying on them.
The red
Oh,
eyes.
she's pissed.
Yeah. Take the shot. They put a missile on there. Man, this next part I did not expect in this episode. This next part's probably my favorite scene in the whole episode.
Oh yeah, same.
Where we'll see in a second.
Confrontation.
I kind of thought this was going to be the end of that character, but I love how she just flips it over to the director. It's funny.
She's powerful.
Yeah. So that scene right there, yeah, that scene was crazy. um, a lot of people from that scene started to be like, "Oh, the director's a bad guy. He's a bad guy." Maybe he is. They've done that before, but I think if that scene shows anything, it shows that Wanda has become an antagonist. As we've been talking about here for a while, I think this show will end with her being an antagonist. And
Look,
Lagos brand.
these commercials. Spilled beer.
Of course, that one's in reference to the beginning of Civil War when they're in Lagos and she blows up that building.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And he's right there.
there's no way that he died from eating leaves. I think she was involved.
Ooh. Even the kids know it.
Yep. And Agnes is just standing there and she's like, "What?" And with Agnes, I think Agnes did that. To be honest, it goes along with what me and a lot of people theorized. I also think she did it to see how far she would go with her powers because she knows what she can do.
Pretty much.
It's interesting she's saying to them like you can't bring back the dead, no matter how sad it makes you. But this whole thing is her bringing Vision back, so maybe she's starting to realize what she's doing is wrong. But you know, I think it's possible in the next episode or two we see her realize that she is wrong, but I think something else happens that causes her to go even crazier. So that's just personally what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like she knows what she's doing is wrong. This part's also great. This part's also pretty great.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think this scene shows how great of actors they are too. It's probably the best acted scene of the series so far.
Oh yeah.
I love the credits rolling over them, but the show just continuing. That's pretty cool.
You know that? Post credit scene.
Dang, things are getting real here.
Ooh.
I think next episode's the one where he like goes outside of the bubble. It's so interesting she's not trying to wipe his memory either, like she has in the past.
Yep.
Like, I'm just wondering what has changed since the last time, because she kept doing it over and over.
I feel like there's gonna be a point when maybe if they get to the world, Vision's probably gonna separate. Maybe that's my own prediction, but I'll get into that later.
Yeah. That's important. I believe her when she says that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's why I think there's another person involved.
She's losing it.
Oh, the doorbell.
Ooh.
Again, someone else is at play here, I think.
Mm-hmm. Who could that be? Oh. Uh-oh.
Interesting, the alarms are sounding.
She's shocked. Old man Steve? I'm just kidding. Oh.
Quicksilver, maybe.
Crazy.
Vision's like, what the heck?
She's like, ow. What? This is crazy.
All right, and that's the episode. That's crazy. All right, so a few things right off the top. In that last scene, he pointed out there are no other children in Westview, which has been something I noticed a long time ago. They were always like, for the children, but there's no children in Westview except for her kids. And do you think they were talking about earlier in the episode, they were talking about how everything she has or makes, she makes from something else. Do you think that's why there's no children? Do you think whatever children there were, she used?
I think she's kind of like, she's going along with it, with the reality, because she just wants to like be happy with Vision and create a family. But there's, so you can tell that something's troubling her. Something's really bugging her.
Yeah, and
like, because they just had a breakthrough moment just now, him and Vision.
Yeah, and in the episode, at the very end, right before she opens the door, she's like, "I don't know who that is. I didn't do that," and she had just been lying to him a lot. But when she said she doesn't know how it started, and when she said that, it seemed believable because she seemed genuinely surprised and confused. And then when she opens the door and sees Quicksilver there, she doesn't know who that is at first. Then he says the thing about him being her brother, and she's just like going along with it, which is why I think there's someone else there, someone else over all of this. And I have a theory about, everyone has a theory about this, but some people think this is just the Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. Some people think this is like a misdirect, and I think it is kind of a misdirect. I think that, I don't know if I think Mephisto is part of this or not, but if he is, I think it's him in disguise as Quicksilver. or whoever it is that's in charge. I think it's a disguise. I think, and I saw the leak that came out last week. I'm not going to really talk about that, but that furthers my assumption a little bit from what I saw in that one. What do you think? Do you think he's someone in disguise, or do you think it's actually him?
That someone in disguise theory is pretty good, but or like when you said X-Men Quicksilver, my only guess is the multiverse.
Yeah, the only thing is they've been very clear that they're going to recast all the X-Men when they introduce them to the MCU. But again, it's the multiverse. Anything can really happen. And I think either way, I mean, it's interesting that they'd bring him back and not use the old actor from Age of Ultron. So I think it's more of a disguise, and having him play that role, I think, was more of a nod to the X-Men fans. But we'll find out next week probably, or the week after, pretty soon, because the show's coming to a close. And I think if Mephisto is part of this, I think that he'll come in next week, as I said earlier, with the Halloween episode. That'd be the perfect one to bring him in. And that's another reason, because he's going to be in the next episode, Quicksilver is, and that could be like everyone's dressing up in that episode, so maybe that's the costume of whoever's, over this.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of information coming out in especially on Halloween. Halloween's a lot of Halloween could be tricky too. So Halloween, I mean, I like how the show only focuses on the brand of the sitcom, but of course it still has to fit the theme still fits the puzzle, putting the puzzle piece together.
So there's 2 more decades to go, not decades. Yeah, decades. There's 2 more decades to go through.
Oh wow.
90s and 2000s. Then they're done with that. So I think we'll get the answers next episode. And if not, I think we will the next one after that, because after that the sitcom part is supposedly done.
So much surprises on the way.
Yeah. And I've heard this theory from several places, but there were some set pictures that leaked a few weeks ago. This is about the ending of the show. A few weeks ago, some set pictures leaked from Spider-Man 3. And there were signs that said missing children. There's a ton of missing children. And so this show takes place before Far From Home, so we know that it's probably not missing children from the snap. But an idea that some people have had is that at the end of this series, she's going to lose her kids, more than likely in some way or another. And then she'll be some people think, instead of in the comics where she's no more mutants, and some people think she'll say no more children and get rid of all the children in the world, basically, which would be insane. But some people think that's how this show and Spider-Man 3 would connect, along with multiverse. That's a crazy theory, but I think that's very interesting. And that would be a very interesting ending to the show if Disney went that route. Very dark.
You think Doctor Strange will appear at the finale, and he's gonna co-work with Tom Holland, Spider-Man, go to Peter? Yeah,
I think maybe he'll appear. A lot of people expect him to, which is kind of the reason I don't know if he will, because this show keeps doing a lot of unexpected things. I think if someone will cameo, it'll be someone. Here's who I think it'll be. I think it'll either be someone from the X-Men or someone from the Spider-Man film. And if it is someone from the Spider-Man film, I think it'll be Tobey Maguire, because he's the one they haven't confirmed yet. A lot of people have seen Andrew Garfield around Atlanta, but they've been keeping him under wraps if he is in the film in Spider-Man 3. And recently this week, Elizabeth Olsen said that there's a cameo that's on the level of Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian. And so that would be one.
No way.
That would be one if he showed up and he's like, "What's up, guys?" I don't know. I think that'd be awesome. I'm
my
gosh! But I'm not counting on it. 'Cause, yeah. Who do you think will show up in the finale?
I mean, I want to say maybe Hawkeye. No.
Or we said that. We talked about that last week a little. It's possible.
Could be. Because Hawkeye had a connect. You got to think about who was connected with Wanda. You always got to think who had connections, who can get through Wanda.
Yeah, and also
and help her.
and also another theory is Magneto could come in because that's her father in the comics, and this has been like a very family oriented show. So it could be him, and that could be the intro to the X-Men. I don't know if that'll happen, but I think it's likely it's either Tobey Maguire or Hawkeye or Doctor Strange, more than likely. Um, so yeah, this episode I thought was pretty awesome.
Oh
My
yeah,
favorite one so
I
far in the series.
honestly, it's like it just keeps getting better and better. More information keeps coming out. MCU keeps getting more bigger and bigger, leading up. So I'm really excited. Like I'm very stoked for the future.
Yeah, me too. Anything else about this episode or predictions?
um, let's see. I think Tom Holland just recent put out saying Spider-Man's going to be the most ambitious adventure Spider-Man movie yet.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can tell is like
the multiverse thing.
Yeah,
pretty heavy.
I think they're going to really have a good antagonist, and I think if Wanda is antagonist, things are going to it's going to be a mess. Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it's going to be a mess.
All right, and next week is the Halloween episode. So I'm looking forward to that one. That one's been teased for a while. I think that'll be a big episode.
I feel like that will confirm something about if she's the antagonist or not, or somebody out there playing. Yeah, so we'll see until then.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this watch along and review. We'll probably do the same thing next week around the same time. Let us know in the comment section what you thought of this episode or what theories you may have, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.